Shikyu Shoujo Arjuna is an anime far ahead of its time for visuals and themes. I'd say it's a cross between the social commentary of Paranoia Agent, the environmentalism of Kemono no Soja Eren, and the minor sci-fi elements of Neon Genesis Evangelion. The anime references Hinduism, hence the name Arjuna from the Bhagavad Gita. Thankfully, this knowledge is supplementary as the anime's morals are fundamental truths of life rather than sermonic messages. Arjuna is the story of Juna, a teenage girl involved in a motorcycle accident with her boyfriend. She later awakens as a spirit on the operating room ceiling looking down over her lifeless body. As she drifts away to whatever existence awaits, she's offered a second chance at life in exchange for protecting the Earth as its avatar of time. As Avatar, her duties entail saving the Earth from violent spirits, but the choice of how to deal with these spirits becomes one of her main conflicts. The natural reaction to a giant monster destroying the city is to kill it, but she's encouraged to find a non-violent approach as it's just a part of nature fulfilling its role. The plot is divided into two sections, the supernatural side creating excitement and a coming-of-age story as Juna learns countless valuable lessons from various characters. My favorite character was the hermit living in an abandoned mountain village. He teaches that our bodies and nature are one and the same regarding our diet and health. Therefore, our lifestyles simultaneously create either mutual benefits or calamities. For example, our fast diets rely on food sprayed with pesticides to increase yield and profits despite killing bugs, polluting the environment, and our bodies. It's mutually detrimental when mutually beneficial alternatives are available. In contrast, the anime equally stresses the importance of empathy, as depicted by Juna and many well-developed side characters and their misunderstandings. Animals use their instincts to understand the world, while people are too distracted by their desires to understand nature or each other. In fact, this is the inspiration behind the violent spirits. These spirits, called Raja, are symbolic of the spirit or unbreakable chain linking everything on Earth. It represents an energy within every life and action, highlighting cause and effect. In this regard, Arjuna plays out like a cautionary tale highlighting the importance of preventative measures, as reactionary measures often come at a far higher price. You can't always undo a problem or rebuild relationships. That's why it's important to treasure these things now. Regarding the Bhagavad Gita, Juna represents Arjuna and Chris represents Krishna. However, Chris urges Juna not to kill, whereas in the Gita, Krishna encourages Arjuna to fulfill his duty as a warrior. As you can see, not every reference is significant or literal. So my point is, the references are here, but missing them won't impede your enjoyment. However, one aspect that may diminish your experience is all of the technobabble. Sometimes the anime feels like an Ayurvedic version of Neon Genesis Evangelion due to the seed organization constantly cutting in to analyze the Rajas with made-up terminology. I don't know why this style was ever popular aside from forcing the idea that a threat is dangerous enough to require an entire room of people to constantly shout at each other. Furthermore, elements like this may cause some without Hindu foreknowledge to take the Raja too literally, which will likely cause them to dislike the anime, especially its ending. Unfortunately, the 13-episode runtime is probably the anime's greatest shortcoming due to its narrative density. There are so many complex characters that I'd like to see more of, or at least more characters utilizing the same beautifully executed indirect characterization. Nearly everyone here is detailed subtly, painting a picture of their personality through actions. Indirect characterization works well for building the mystery of characters like the old hermit, but it also increases the enjoyment of characters you can relate to. You can glance at how a scene is constructed, feel the emotion it represents, and instantly identify with it. Suppose you've ever made significant dietary or ideological changes. In that case, you'll appreciate and relate to Juna's struggles during her development, because even the closest friends can feel offended or betrayed by changes they can't understand. Despite its heavy morals, I appreciated how the anime offered positives and negatives for each side of the argument. For example, it also depicts the negatives of living in nature due to competing with it to survive. Likewise, it shows the positives of our technologically advanced civilization through science finding ways to clean up the environment. What it provides is food for thought. It tells an exciting and engaging story with well-developed characters struggling to find a balance that allows them to respect others and the Earth. As for its presentation, Arjuna features numerous exciting and experimental techniques as it's the product of the early days of computer animation. Now that the images are digital, animators can take parallaxing a step further by warping 2D images, creating the appearance of depth. While it doesn't look as cohesive as the same effect in previous anime, it's more efficient and would probably look just as good, if not better, when refined. Another example of Arjuna's innovation is when they create a 3D object, import a painting over it as a texture file, and then layer even more 2D images behind it. Additionally, they incorporated full 3D character models with even more mesmerizing effects, such as the fade to transparency, revealing more effects within the model. Overall, Arjuna is a great anime for anyone, but you'll probably enjoy it even more if you've read the Bhagavad Gita or have a decent understanding of Hinduism. So I give it an 8 out of 10. Just keep an open mind. Don't take everything at face value, including the Rajas or some of their takes on modern medicine, which is probably controversial. If you're interested in Hinduism, there's also Ramayana. I haven't seen that one yet because I don't think I'd understand it. However, it's supposed to be getting a 4K remaster sometime this year, so I'd wait for that. If you decide to check out Arjuna, come back and share your thoughts. Thanks to everyone who supports these videos through Patreon or buys anime Blu-rays and t-shirts through the links in the video description. Special thanks to Nia-chan for third tier Patreon support. I'll see you soon with another anime review.